Everyone has memories. Your first friend, your first school, your first vacation. But almost nobody remembers being 1 year old, or even two. The first years of your life simply disappear. Where did those memories go? Were they erased? Hidden? Or were they never created in the first place? Today we're going to explore one of the strangest mysteries of the human mind. Because the reason you can't remember being a baby reveals something incredible about memory, and even stranger, it may change the way you think about who you really are. Almost everyone experiences something psychologists call infantile amnesia. Think about your earliest memory. For most people, it happens somewhere between the ages of 3 and 4. Maybe you remember a birthday, a family vacation, your first day of school. But before that, almost nothing. It's as if the first chapter of your life simply vanished. And that's incredibly strange, because babies clearly remember things. A newborn recognizes the sound of its mother's voice. Within months, babies learn familiar faces. They recognize routines. They anticipate feeding times. They even begin understanding simple patterns in the world around them. Learning is happening constantly. So if babies are capable of learning so much, why can't adults remember being babies? Did those memories disappear? Were they erased somehow? Or is something completely different happening inside the developing brain? To answer that question, we first have to rethink what memory actually is. Most people think memory works like a video camera. Something happens, your brain records it. Years later, you simply replay the recording. But that's not what happens. Every time you remember something, your brain rebuilds that memory from countless pieces. Images, sounds, emotions, smells, feelings. Even the act of remembering slightly changes the memory itself. Your memories are living reconstructions, not permanent recordings. And creating those reconstructions requires an incredibly sophisticated network inside the brain. One of its most important parts is the hippocampus. The hippocampus acts like a librarian. It helps organize experiences into memories that can later be retrieved. But during infancy, that librarian is still learning how to do its job. The shelves are still being built. The filing system isn't complete. Your brain isn't focused on preserving detailed life stories. Instead, it's busy constructing the machinery that will eventually make long-term memories possible. In other words, the system responsible for remembering your life hasn't fully matured yet. During your first few years of life, your brain grows at an astonishing pace. Millions of new neural connections form every second. Old connections disappear. New pathways replace them. Entire networks reorganize themselves. It's one of the fastest periods of development you'll ever experience. Imagine trying to write an autobiography while the pages of the book keep rearranging themselves. Every time you finish a chapter, the pages move somewhere else. That's remarkably similar to what's happening inside an infant's brain. The brain isn't failing. It's prioritizing something much more important than preserving memories. It's learning how to become a brain. It must first learn how to see, how to hear, how to move, how to recognize people, how to understand language, how to predict the world around it. Only after building those systems can it reliably preserve detailed autobiographical memories. Learning comes first. Remembering your life comes later. There's another reason your earliest memories disappear. Language. Think about your own inner voice. Almost every memory you have includes words. You silently describe what happened. You explain it to yourself. You organize events into stories. Babies can't do that. Before language develops, they experience the world almost entirely through sensations. Colors, sounds, movement, touch, emotion. Without words, those experiences are much harder to organize into the personal narratives adults rely on every day. Language doesn't simply allow us to communicate, it changes the way we remember. It gives structure to experience. It connects one event to another. It transforms isolated moments into chapters of a story. And that story eventually becomes your life. Here's the fascinating part. Those early years weren't meaningless, far from it. Even if you can't consciously remember them, they're still with you. Your earliest experiences influence how safe the world feels, how easily you trust other people, how you respond to stress, how you form relationships. Your brain remembers those experiences in ways that don't require conscious recollection. They're stored in habits, emotions, expectations, automatic reactions. You may never remember the moment you first learned that someone would comfort you when you cried, but that lesson may still shape your relationships decades later. The memories aren't necessarily gone. Many of them simply exist outside conscious awareness. But here's where this mystery becomes even stranger. Just because you can't remember those first years doesn't mean your brain forgot them. In fact, your brain may remember far more than your conscious mind ever could. Think about riding a bicycle. Once you learn, you rarely forget. You don't consciously remember every lesson, every fall, every correction. Your body simply knows what to do. The same thing happens with many of your earliest experiences. Long before you formed your first conscious memories, your brain was already learning who felt safe, learning whether the world was predictable, learning whether people could be trusted. Those lessons became part of the way your brain operates, not as memories you can replay, but as patterns that quietly guide your behavior every day. Scientists call some of these implicit memories. They're memories without a story, without pictures, without a clear beginning or ending. Yet they continue shaping your emotions, your instincts, and even your relationships. In a way, the youngest version of you may still be influencing every decision you make, even though you'll never be able to remember meeting them. And that leads to perhaps the strangest question of all. If you can't remember the first years of your life, who exactly was that child? They laughed, they cried, they learned, they explored the world, they experienced joy, fear, comfort, curiosity. Every one of those experiences helped shape the person you eventually became. Yet from your perspective, it's almost as if that child never existed. Imagine waking up tomorrow with every memory of the last 5 years erased. You would still have the same body, the same habits, the same personality, but you might feel like a stranger to yourself. That's surprisingly similar to what has already happened. The earliest version of you disappeared from conscious memory, but never disappeared from your life. Maybe that's why infantile amnesia feels so mysterious. It reminds us that memory isn't the same thing as identity. The person you are today wasn't built only from the moments you remember. It was also built from countless invisible moments that quietly shaped your brain before you ever knew how to remember them. So perhaps the greatest mystery isn't why you can't remember being a baby. Perhaps it's this. Long before your first memory, long before your first word, long before you even knew your own name, someone was already becoming you, and you'll never truly remember meeting them.